Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 origin continent based on novel. So let's start. 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, Yulon City, Inner City Heavenly Water District, residence number 99179. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing are currently in closed-door training. The power of the life and death Tao, at the early stage Divine Emperor level, how potent is it? Luo Feng couldn't test the power on the land of origin, as the rules of the source world are stringent and have a limit on might. However, in the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, he could freely test out his techniques. Life and death Tao, the domain of the Tao. With a single thought from Luo Feng. Centered on himself, the life and death Tao operates to form a massive system of rules, creating an expansive domain. The domain is dense and its might is terrifying. If a godly king in the ultimate realm enters this domain, they would likely turn to dust in an instant. Just a single thought, the naturally formed domain of the life and death Tao is even stronger than the endless blood sea domain of my undying blood sea body, Luo Feng marveled, pointing casually. With one point, the might of life and death gathers at a point, piercing through layers of space, even faintly peering into the immense shadow of a secret pattern. The 9 Rivers Sacred Realm is a specially reinforced world, trapping many low-level primordial lives. Luo Feng naturally cannot burst through the world membrane. Just a casual point, stronger than when I exerted my full strength before the retreat. Luo Feng performed a few techniques, and had ascertained his own level. The life and death Tao, at the early stage of the Divine Emperor, should be comparable to a typical late-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened One, Luo Feng judged. The life and death Tao, at the ultimate realm Godly King level, inherently contains the mighty 9 major branches. In terms of power, it is sufficient to compete with the mid-stage Divine Emperor. The early-stage life and death Tao of the Divine Emperor is comparable to the ordinary paths of the late-stage Divine Emperor. This was also within Luo Feng's expectations. After all, the early stage level of life and destruction, merely cooperating with each other, possess the might of a mid-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened One. If completely fused as one, the power would naturally advance further. With the life and death Tao of the ultimate realm Godly King as the foundation, further using the 2 paths of life and destruction from early stage Divine Emperor as nourishment, and additionally integrating various mystical aspects of life and destruction, finally fully merging them, promoting the life and death Tao to the early stage Divine Emperor, Luo Feng also felt it was quite a challenge. The 2 paths merged into one. Search * the novel, F.I.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This path is arduous, yet also powerful enough. It has a higher potential. If paired with suitable secret treasures and secret techniques, I should be able to match the weaker elders of Yulon City. Luo Feng nodded slightly. The strength of the elders of Yulon City also varied, with some cultivating both paths, and others practicing some special schools. After breaking through the life and death Tao, Luo Feng did not leave seclusion, but continued his cultivation. Over the years, he observed a large number of low-level primordial life materials with the eye of life and death, accumulating a vast amount of knowledge in the 2 major directions of life and destruction. But before breaking through the life and death Tao, he did not dare continue down these paths, fearing deviation. Taking the wrong path can have severe consequences. Luo Feng would rather be slower but steadier. The higher the realm, the more one understands their own limited knowledge. After breaking through the life and death Tao, Luo Feng's understanding of how life and destruction should merge deepened. He frequently adjusted his cultivation. Cultivation is just so, one must gropingly progress in the dark. Life, destruction, life and death, the 3 mutually verifying each other, progressing together, is the most prudent. After about 90 eras, the path of life, already rich in knowledge, naturally advanced to the middle stage of Divine Emperor. Another 60 eras, and the path of destruction also reached the middle stage of Divine Emperor. Let's pause for now. The paths of life and destruction are relatively simple and more pure, comprehending them is also easier. After promoting the 2 to the middle stage of Divine Emperor, Luo Feng then stopped. The next focus was to use them as nourishment to help promote the life and death Tao to the middle stage of Divine Emperor. This step is difficult. Fusion. As life and destruction grow stronger, the difficulty of merging them also continuously increases. In the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, it's common to see cultivators who combine different paths. But merging different paths into one, that's extremely rare. Luo Feng tried for a few eras then temporarily stopped. The next breakthrough will require a very long time of accumulation. First, let's study the application methods. The Tao is fundamental. The secret techniques of application are various methods of protecting the Tao. Studying these techniques can also increase one's understanding of the Tao. The previous Undying Blood Sea body was a bit rough. Luo Feng started to refine. Previously, life and destruction were at the early stage of Divine Emperor, and the life and death Tao was even only at the ultimate realm Godly King level. Using the Eye of Life and Death to observe the Star Tower and the Undying Heart, he created the previous Undying Blood Sea body. Now with a full realm advancement, Luo Feng's understanding of the Star Tower blood-colored scale and Undying Heart also reached a new height. The Undying Blood Sea body thoroughly changed. Refining the secret technique is quite easier than enlightenment. Luo Feng spent merely 3 epochs and created a new version of the Undying Blood Sea body. It's done. Luo Feng sat cross-legged upon the vast endless blood sea, which is also a part of his body, with a layer of protective blood-colored scales also appearing on his surface. The Undying Blood Sea body, this physical body indeed possesses some of the mysteries of the Undying Heart. But this endless blood sea. Luo Feng looked at the vast endless blood sea, deep with infinite life force, entirely stemming from my comprehension of that blood-colored scale in the Star Tower. The blood-colored scale of the Star Tower, seemingly just a scale, is actually like an endless sea of blood, with vitality at its peak. And this infinite sea is gathered within a single scale, making this scale indestructible. Senior Yuan was right, no predecessor's Dharma suits me. What suits me best is what I research on my own. I researched the Star Tower's blood-colored scale, the Undying Heart, and the Eye of Life and Death, and the Dharma formed thereafter truly is what I need. Luo Feng increasingly recognized this point with clarity. The Dharma that I painstakingly discovered myself is the only way to fully understand all its mysteries. In the future, to break out of limitations, this holds great promise. Practicing the Dharma of predecessors, although it appears mighty. But does this Dharma suit one's self? Do you understand why this Dharma is structured this way? Depending on such a Dharma as a foundation, what hope is there to break free from limitations? In cultivation, every step must be solid. Luo Feng continued to refine other secret techniques, further perfecting the biomimetic Eye of Life and Death, and also crafted some complementary combat secret techniques based on the advantages of the Undying Blood Sea body. Luo Feng stood atop a high building in Huyang City Lord's mansion, looking at the gigantic fluffy paws that supported the entire Huyang city. It's time to bring it out of the source world. With a thought from Luo Feng, the gigantic fluffy paws instantly vanished, then appeared in Luo Feng's hand, instantly merging into his right hand, covering it with a layer of fluffy paws. Innate secret treasures are indeed extraordinary. Luo Feng felt the terrifying destructive power of the fluffy paws, claws that could tear apart everything and also envelop and capture enemies. Such innate secret treasures are not seen for sale even in Yulon city of the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm. If one appeared, even the elders would scramble for it. With my current strength, I am already qualified to take Undying Heart and the innate secret treasure palm world out. Luo Feng thought, the Star Tower and Eye of Life and Death cannot be taken out of the source world. As for treasures like the Undying Heart, palm world, although still very precious, the ancestors of both nations at this level of existence, if lucky, could still obtain 1 or 2 pieces. Like those elders in Yulon city of the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, those elders are generally from the source world, possess the clone technique, and also have opportunities. They mostly acquired treasures like the Undying Heart. But such treasures, they either keep in their homeland or carry with them as they venture through the dark sacred realm. Why would they remain in Yulon city? Sigh. Huyang City silently landed on the ground, causing no ripple. Most creatures within the city remained unaware. Only some residents noticed the disappearance of the continuous 5 mighty mountain ranges outside and were utterly shocked. What happened? Where are the 5 mountain ranges? And that giant paw? Some cultivators in the city began to notice, especially the guards stationed above the city walls, who were particularly panicked and hastily reported up. Standing in the high building of the city owner's mansion, Luo Feng flipped his hand and took out his array map secret treasure. This life and death array map is also of little significance to me now. Using the array map secret treasure as the core, Luo Feng casually set up a supportive formation, initiating a circulation of heaven and earth energy. Natural circulation of heaven and earth energy, with the array map as the core, enables the formation to easily reach the power limit of the land of origin. Whoosh tilde tilde tilde. The black and white currents surrounded Huyang City, which appeared intermittently amidst the flowing currents. A vast life and death array has thus formed. Master. Morosa approached Luo Feng. What happened to Huyang City? Just changed the garrison formation, Luo Feng said with a smile. The management rules of Huyang City just follow the previous ones. Morosa glanced at Luo Feng's right hand turning into a fluffy paw, somewhat enlightened. Morosa, some guests have arrived, you may leave first, Luo Feng instructed. Yes. Morosa immediately responded. He also sensed that 5 presences had already arrived outside Huyang City, hindered by the life and death array, and did not force their way in. Luo Feng looked at the 5 figures outside. Primogenitor Yang Feng, Thunder Ancestor were there, and Time-Space Demon, 2 Realms Palace Master, 1 Fa Tao Master, those 3 were also present. The 5 of them were looking at Luo Feng, all bearing goodwill. Gentlemen. Luo Feng smiled and waved. The black and white currents parted, naturally forming a pathway to the city lord's mansion. Luo Feng had prepared some fruits and wine. Ha, felt that the innate secret treasure was withdrawn, and everyone came. Time-Space Demon laughed heartily. It only took a few steps for the 5 powerful beings to likely reach the city lord's mansion. The 6 powerful beings gathered here are indeed the strongest 6 presences of the land of origin, placed in Yulon City. All 6 would possess the strength of elders. Brother Luo, 1 Fa Tao Master spoke with a smile. You withdrew that innate secret treasure. Are you planning to take it outside the source world? I advise you, such a treasure once taken out of the source world, is easily stolen. Right, you've cultivated for too short a time, and your strength is too weak. You can't protect such a treasure when brought out, 2 Realms Palace Master said. Only us few would trade fairly with you. Luo Feng chuckled. My strength weak. Among the 6 here, I should not be the weakest one. Rest assured, we will bid fairly, the Time-Space Demon said with a cheerful smile. Whoever offers the highest price, you give it to them. All 5 of us present have accumulated quite a bit, 1 Fa Tao Master said with a laugh. All 5 of them were strong figures from the source world, all possessing clone techniques, and held the status of elders in Yulon City. Having cultivated for countless years, their accumulated wealth was naturally astonishing. For instance, serving as an elder, they received a fixed income every epoch. Given that the 1 Fa Tao Master and the others could breach barriers and travel to other source worlds, one could imagine the treasured riches they possess. Luo Feng, we are from the same source world. If the prices are close, you should favor us, Thunder Ancestor said. Luo Feng, you decide for yourself. Primogenitor Yang Feng also looked at Luo Feng. 3 from the alien race and 2 natives. All 5 of them were very keen on acquiring this innate secret treasure. Everyone knows that this innate secret treasure holds special significance to me, Luo Feng said with a smile and a shake of his head. I have no plans to sell it. What a pity. The 5 present felt somewhat disappointed. You also collected 2 portions of special life remnants. Do you plan to sell one of them? Time-Space Demon inquired further. Luo Feng's core of cultivation practice was the Star Tao blood-colored scale, and Eye of Life and Death. The Eye of Life and Death was indeed a secret treasure refined from the full body of a world-level primordial life. In fact, for divine emperors, Having one portion of world-level primordial life materials as the core of their training was already quite good. Gathering a few portions for contemplation and cultivation might even lead to breaking out of constraints. The 2 portions Luo Feng collected in the land of origin were one dark golden single horn from the dream domain and another material being a segment of black bone. Luo Feng selected these materials based on their extremely high value while observing the dream domain and heavenly pillar realm through the eye of life and death. Not selling, said Luo Feng with a grin. In the early stages of cultivation, when strength is weak and resources are scarce, Thunder Ancestor persuaded from the side, selling one portion of special life remnants could smooth your cultivation significantly. Luo Feng shook his head. Everyone, no need to persuade further. The 5 present felt quite helpless. Acquiring special life remnants, or top-tier innate secret treasures was too difficult. With Luo Feng's strength, and after experiencing the external world of Yulon City, he was even less likely to sell them off. Thus, both ancestors cultivated emperors, and the 3 alien races nurtured other detached godly kings, letting these juniors help them collect. No rush, Time-Space Demon laughed. If you ever urgently need to make a trade, you can find me anytime. Trading in the outside world, you worry about competition. Trading in the land of origin, it's absolutely safe, Thunder Ancestor also said. Their cultivation had spanned long years, and they had enough patience. They knew full well, perhaps one day, Luo Feng would encounter difficulties and need to sell treasures. Ha, good, if I need to trade, I'll definitely contact everyone. Luo Feng was also very polite, and immediately raised his glass. That night, once the gathering dispersed, Luo Feng quietly carried the Undying Heart and Palm World, 2 great treasures, to the Ice Valley. He teleported via the lake, heading towards the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm. 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, at the foot of Holy Mountain, there were also some cultivators waiting for the official flying boat. This time flying alone, headed to Yulon City, Luo Feng didn't wait for the official flying boat that arrives once every epoch, but rather flipped his hand and retrieved a blue droplet, which transformed into the shape of a flying boat. He immediately steered the water drop flying boat and left the Holy Mountain. This water drop flying boat was a losing deal originally sold to Luo Feng by Time-Space Demon. Initially, Time-Space Demon chose the set of armor and abyss pearl left by Yulon after his death, presumably worth about 20,000 primordial crystals. But this water drop flying boat, being a late-stage Divine Emperor level flying boat, is valued at about 100,000 primordial crystals. He indeed lost quite a bit. Luo Feng stood inside the boat's cabin, gazing at the outside world. Of course, Luo Feng understood that for the Time-Space Demon, carrying a large amount of treasures through barrier-breaking transfers to the land of origin, the transportation cost was the highest. One water drop flying boat might be just an unremarkable item among the treasures he carried. I don't like taking advantage too much, might find a chance to compensate that Time-Space Demon, thought Luo Feng. Shoo. This water drop flying boat, being a pure life class flying secret treasure, was most adept at concealing life aura. In terms of speed and stealth, however, it was far inferior to the void class flying secret treasure. This boat is too mediocre. Fortunately, with my realm, I can perfectly utilize the power of this water drop flying boat, and even enhance it by coordinating with the biomimetic Eye of Destruction for better control, life and death flux, even stronger aura concealment, Luo Feng thought. Being able to overperform only represented the weakness of this boat. This trip back to Yulon City, I need to switch to a better flying boat, Luo Feng thought. Phew. The boat flew with completely hidden aura, carefully navigating. Luo Feng's biomimetic Eye of Destruction had a much wider observation range than before, and even among the elders of Yulon City, not many could match Luo Feng in observation and stealth. From a great distance, he could detect low-level primordial life and avoid them from afar. Low-level primordial life, you encounter them everywhere. Luo Feng spent a total of 12 days on the journey before reaching Yulon City. On my way, I found a total of 39 low-level primordial lives. Luo Feng never dared to strike, because it was outside normal hunting zones. In the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, most of the regions are the territories of low-level primordial life. Cultivators can only rely on the 35 cities, hunting around the cities, and if things go south, they flee back inside the cities immediately. Luo Feng was well aware of this. Cultivators must strictly observe the hunting range. This was a lesson brought about by the deaths of many cultivators. Yulon City. Luo Feng maneuvered the water drop flying boat and flew into the city gate before relaxing. Luo Feng had already visited the various businesses in Yulon City many times, understanding clearly which business sold what goods, their prices, and the reputation of the businesses. Brother Luo Feng. As Luo Feng entered a business, a red-dressed woman in charge immediately greeted him warmly. Brother Luo Feng fought a battle not long ago with the Deceit Workshop team, 2 against 5, not only winning, but also killing that Kumo Divine Emperor. Now in the city, everyone's talking about your fame, Brother Luo Feng, the red-dressed woman said enthusiastically. I dislike slaughter, but if they seek death, there's nothing I can do, Luo Feng said calmly. Admiring, the lady in red smiled and said, let's go inside and have a seat. If it were an ordinary guest, an ordinary attendant would suffice for the reception. With the intelligence publicly available on Luo Feng, his strength is now ranked among the top 2,000 in Yulon City, which naturally warrants the personal hospitality of the business owner. The Deceit Workshop team attempted to plunder, and he counter-killed them. This person must be extraordinary. I wonder when I can become a divine emperor myself. Some attendants within the business were whispering among themselves. They couldn't afford to buy information about divine emperors, but they knew well that as one of the top 3 theft and plunder forces, the Deceit Workshop's raiding teams were very powerful. Upon entering an elegant building inside, Luo Feng and the lady in red sat down. I am here today to buy a formation diagram, said Luo Feng, pointing at a formation diagram among the weapons' secret treasures floating outside the building. The diagram depicted a colorful, splendid world with 3 special characters. Luo Feng did not recognize the characters, but could sense the will contained within them, knowing they meant Xianqing Sky. Oh? The lady in red was surprised as she looked at the formation diagram. The Xianqing Sky Annihilation Array Map. This one costs 8.5 million primordial crystals. The Xianqing Sky Annihilation Map. A half-primordial level secret treasure array map. For the same half-primordial level, whether it encompasses 1 Dao or 2, naturally, the value differs. The ones containing 1 Dao are easier to use and cheaper, with a broader user base. Those containing 2 Daos are harder to control and more expensive, suiting a smaller group of users. Flat rate, 8 million primordial crystals. I'm also planning to buy a flying boat, Luo Feng said, aware of their usual discounts. I'll take that void netherworld pupil ship as well. Let's make it a total of 10 million primordial crystals for the 2 treasures. The lady in red smiled at Luo Feng. The usual discount being 95% was already the limit. This bargaining was evidently even lower than that. All right, let's round it up, the lady in red smiled. In the future, Brother Luo Feng, you should take good care of our business. Sure, Luo Feng nodded contentedly. After the last hunt and the spoils from killing Kumo, what was left was just over 10 million primordial crystals. After this expenditure, he was poor again. Now I need to purchase half primordial level secret treasures. In the future, suitable treasures will become even scarcer. Luo Feng shook his head lightly. Without any secret treasures, he was still quite strong among late-stage Divine Emperor enlightened ones. With the Undying Heart and Palm World in hand, only the half-primordial level secret treasures could further enhance his strength. With this Xianqing Sky Annihilation Map, my endless blood sea can also be arranged, Luo Feng thought. Though the effect of the Undying Heart enhancing the Undying Blood Sea body was good, it could only enhance the direct combat strength of the Undying Blood Sea body, and not create a wide-ranging domain. Purely relying on his own abilities to cast a domain was still somewhat weak. With this array map, the power of the Blood Sea domain could be increased several times. This void netherworld pupil ship, a vessel containing the mysteries of life and destruction, fits well with my biomimetic eye of destruction, Luo Feng satisfactorily paid 10 million primordial crystals and exchanged for these two great treasures. Saw the Novelia.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Emperor Qing, who was in seclusion, received a message from Luo Feng and immediately came out of seclusion. Brother Luo Feng, you came out of seclusion so quickly. Emperor Qing came out surprised. Wasn't it said you'd be in long-term seclusion? We've offended Deceit Workshop. It's not suitable to go out without certain confidence. Luo Feng smiled slightly. I am confident now. Confident? Emperor Qing was stunned for a moment. Sure enough, this seclusion had only just passed 360 epochs. Emperor Qing then asked, We've offended Deputy Workshop Master Elder Qian He of the Deceit Workshop. Are you confident in dealing with Elder Qian He? Luo Feng nodded. Emperor Qing felt his brain booming, somewhat flustered. He realized what Luo Feng's nod represented. You've reached the level of a late-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened One. Emperor Qing looked at Luo Feng in disbelief. Just a single early-stage Divine Emperor life and death Dao was already comparable to a late-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened. Not to mention, both the life and destruction Daos are at the mid-stage of Divine Emperor. Not to mention, there were also the Undying Heart and Palm World, two great treasures in hand. Of course, Luo Feng had the confidence to face Elder Qian He. This seclusion, there were some breakthroughs as well. Luo Feng smiled. Emperor Qing was stunned, not knowing what to say. He had watched Luo Feng grow up before his eyes. For him, who struggled for a long span in mid-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened, and barely managed to break through, how could he stand it? I've long heard that in countless worlds, a tiny group at the very top has terrifyingly high talent. Emperor Qing looked at Luo Feng. I've witnessed it now. Luo Feng just smiled. He really didn't find it difficult. During the time in the primordial cosmos, before reaching the undying stage, each step of his was very solid. Each step reached unimaginable limits of the same level, even surpassing those limits. That's why he cultivated the perfect divine body, and his spiritual will also became so high. In the land of origin, the foundation of each level was exceedingly robust. Overly profound foundations also allowed him to obtain treasures like the Star Tower and Eye of Life and Death, which in turn made his cultivation smoother. Becoming half primordial isn't difficult, Luo Feng had discussed with Senior Yuan. In the eyes of elders like Senior Yuan, groping in the dark to become half primordial was fairly easy. Places like the dark sacred realm are filled with such powerhouses. Breaking out of the braided cage is where the real difficulty lies. Regardless, it's an honor for me, Emperor Qing, to team up with Brother Luo Feng to hunt, opined Emperor Qing. I'm preparing to go hunting, will you come? Luo Feng asked. Yes, of course. Emperor Qing immediately agreed. This video will end here.